Hello, you're listening to Who Agrees with me, Paul Black.
And me, Kendra McPherson.
And as always, thank you to our sponsor, Iola.
We are still here, still rocking our specs. I've had my Fergusons in the beautiful colour of Merlot on me for quite some time. And I'm noticing actually that they're really complimenting when I have a day that I can't really do much with my hair because they're such a statement frame. I feel like actually I don't really have to do too much, just whack them on and they speak for themselves.
And you like them with your hair pushed back?
I like them with my hair pushed back. I would actually say Aaron Samuel style that I prefer with my hair pushed back but still enjoying with down.
But I also like wearing mine with my hair pushed back. I'm of course wearing my Khaki Williams as always, my reliable, trustworthy Khaki Williams.
Yeah.
They look good as ever. I've actually ditched the bell. I will say I'm full-time in the Khaki Williams. But I do like that I have the option to change and try them all on. I love to have multiple frames on the go at once. Mm-hmm. The reliable working man spectacle. How about that?
I like that.
Is that good?
Yes.
So this week on the podcast, we're joined by not one, but two amazing guests. We have the wonderful Greg Hemphill and Julie Wilson-Nimmo, who joined us to talk all about their brand new book, Jules and Greg's Wild Swim, which is a companion book to their hit TV show you might have seen. We talk all about that in this episode and about both their careers retrospectively.
So much more.
So much more. And we had a laugh and a hoot and a holler.
It was actually really lovely having like a twosome on because I felt like there was just even more chat to mine. Like I was actually worried that we might have too much to talk about and we maybe did. But I just loved the energy. It was just such a nice time we spent with them.
Well, and we did have so much to talk about that. We've divided this into two parts. Woo! So this is part one of this episode. And
more
remember,
bang for your buck.
If you're subscribed to our Patreon, you can watch part two immediately after that and listen to it as well on there. So check that out. But shall we get into it?
Yep.
Enjoy. So please welcome to the podcast the wonderful Greg Hemphill and Julie Wilson-Nimmo.
Our first duel.
That's really quite a lot of pressure, isn't it?
Yeah, Batman and Robin.
Oh.
I find it relaxing because it's quite mirroring.
I'm going to say that.
That's like two strong couples.
Strong stand before me.
Yeah, with a long history.
Yes.
On a double date.
Yeah.
Have you ever been on a double date? Like a formal double date?
I don't think I have, actually. Have you?
I don't think we ever have. We've never gone on a double date.
I was thinking life before you there.
Can you remember that far back?
I can remember all right.
Okay.
No,
How long have you been together?
We've been married 26 years.
Right.
I'm glad you brought that up, Kendra, because this is the first year that we forgot our anniversary.
Oh, really?
1 year
they're
after
filming.
renewing our vows on the television
I know.
in the swimming show.
It was off
I
for sure.
love
It was on the show, and then a year
Thanks.
later we forgot.
It's all
And
lies, that love.
So
lies.
26 years married, and how long were you
26 years
together
married.
before you got married?
Just 2 years.
Nice.
Yeah, 2 years.
Which everyone got the fear of
Quick
because we were
snappy.
getting
Quick
a hit
snap,
and
yeah.
everyone was like, it's too quick.
Oh, back then that was just how it was.
Back then,
That's right.
when the plane
I cycled
terrorised
up
the
to her on
street.
my penny farthing, Kendra, and I shouted up to her window.
We got together before he went off to the war.
The first
When he
World
came
War.
back.
You know what? It's funny because
And hang on it before he got off to the war.
I came to see your in Tronversation at the Tron Theatre, and Greg had said, oh, you've been together for 25 years, and my auntie who I was with was sitting next to me and she went, it's actually 26.
Oh,
I
but
was
we
like,
love your aunt
How
though.
do you know that?
It's great. Did you love that? You made a mistake.
That's why we forgot.
Yeah, we did forget.
Did you have the ballpark time in the calendar and just miss the day, or did
We've
it
never
totally?
missed it. Literally
Never
in
missed
25
it.
years. Not one of us, or in 25 years. And this year, both of us missed it.
But remember how we remembered? So we were waiting to film CC. See me just sliding that and getting ready.
Nice.
And we were
Coming
in a field
soon.
and we had to go to the toilet. It was an actual toilet. And I came out and just was waiting. Greg and I looked at the phone. It said Jess's birthday, and I went, "Oh my god,
Your pal
that's
Jess,
one of
that's
my
right.
one of my actual pals in real life. It's her birthday. It's the same day as our wedding anniversary." And I went, "Oh no." And I knew he'd forgot as well. And I went, "Wait till I tell you what's happened." And I couldn't believe it.
But that's good because united front.
Yeah.
You were
I-
still in
United
it
failure.
together.
Well, she
But-
tried to put a plaster over it. She went, "Happy anniversary, I've got you a book, but I've not got it with me."
Oh, nice.
I did.
It's in the post.
It actually wasn't a book, it was a picture, and I got
Oh,
it framed. It
so
was
you
kind of
did.
for both of us,
So
so,
you
it
did,
didn't
so
count.
you did, so
There was
you
an
did.
atmosphere for the rest of the day.
Between you both mutually.
Yeah.
Because we're in the middle of filming.
Yes.
That's a stressful time. That takes up all your energy
Because
and
you
your
must
mind.
be so
Yes.
busy
No,
as
come
a
on.
couple.
It's weird, but you say that, but we only shot this show in 15 days this time, Kendra.
Oh, really?
But we prepare it and stuff like that, but I basically finished Balamory. See what I did there?
Nice.
You're doing our job.
I'm just doing. I'd
Making
finished
it
that on
easy.
the Saturday. Sunday, I went to see Oasis. That's another tale. And then on the Monday, we were doing the swimming show. So my brain was scrambled.
She came back
What's
through the
your
night with
excuse?
sunglasses like some kind of rock star, like she'd come off stage. Came
Oh,
back
Miss
through the
Hoolie
night.
gone rogue.
Yeah, and she sort of like rolled up to the set, and we went straight into the water with a bunch of
Wow.
swimmers. Went snorkeling.
But you missed out the most glamorous part.
What was
We
that?
met in the Asda car park. We meet
That's
all the
right.
crew in the Asda car park. That's how we like to roll, by the way.
Okay.
And that's where we all meet on the first day, and then we see them all again. They're like a family, and then that's us away.
You've no lived till you've got your arse out in the Asda car park. That's
I have done that.
Our show.
I believe that. I do think you have. So many formative things happening in Asda car park, you know.
That's so
You really do. It
Yeah.
was, see, for me growing up, it was kind of the place to go.
You're
see,
such an Asda dweller.
listen,
you?
Asda's always been my number one. Like I feel like you grow up where your Moggos predominantly. That's your one. And obviously you can don't get me wrong. In adulthood, I've loved to go into M&S, and I've even been to Waitrose from time to time. I'll admit that. I'm not ashamed to admit. I like the finer things sometimes, but Asda to me is the supermarket.
This
Yeah.
is the Govan Asda.
Yes,
So,
It's a beauty.
you must have spent a lot of time in the old Toys R Us.
of course.
Oh my God.
You
That was really-
introduced
that was-
me.
I can't
to
believe
Asda
it.
that.
Govan.
I
Asda
actually got a wee bit
Govan.
emotional hearing Toys R Us there.
Do you know what?
Toys R
I
Us,
even
Toys
felt
R Us,
emotional when you
Toys
just
R Us.
recognised it would be Asda Govan, because that is the Govan to me. Like there's no the Govan, the Asda. There's no other Asda. in the
I'd
world.
never even been
And
to
you
that
took me
part
to
of
an
Glasgow.
Asda. You took me to an Asda somewhere once. Where were we?
Dunfermline Asda.
And I was like, whoa, I don't like
Don't
this.
like it.
Yeah.
Alien Asda.
Yeah.
Thrown
Aye,
off.
aye, aye.
This
Yeah.
one isn't in Glasgow. Where is this one? It's miles away.
Which one? The
One we met
I know
in
them
this
all.
time.
The Asda
We're
you
going
get your
to-
arse out
we're going
in.
to
Which one is
Dunbar.
it?
Oh,
Main
I've
arse
got no
Asda.
idea.
But
It was
Greg would never tell you because he's very modest. But I had to go and do a wee. I'm always doing the toilet if he's noticed. Like a weak bladder. And then I said to Greg, "Don't go in there, right? Not in a bad way, because I went in and nobody ever notices me, but I get noticed in there." And Greg went,
In the
"Jules, I need to
specific
get
Asda?
It's Asda. we can't remember where it is. It's Dunbar somewhere." Greg went in, it was like Robert De Niro going in the place. I'm not joking. And I came out of that and there was like a line behind him.
Listen, Robert De Niro does Warburton's adverts. He's very likely to be in an Asda.
It's true.
It's true. It's true. I didn't mean that to sound big-headed, but it's quite a shocker to me sometimes. Another place he can't go is East Kilbride, where I'm from. I
Full
just
stop,
can't
the
take
full
him.
vi-
It's a disaster.
I love
Like
going
the
to East
border,
Kilbride.
as soon as you step into it, it's over.
And they say things like, some of them that don't know we're married and stuff, they go like that. What are you doing here? Wherever we are.
I
It's
used to-
just like at the
I used to go to
shops.
the ice skating rink in East Kilbride, and I swear to God, I was like Ron Burgundy. I was like that. On the ice, like, kind of a big deal.
I used to say to him, I'd skate up to him and the boys would be there and the kids were frightened by the reaction to him. It was like the Pied Piper of Hamelin, except scary. And there was too many folk round their dad and I'd actually go, "Just go away." And he'd go, "Where?" And I go, "I don't know, just away." Skating away. Do you know what I mean? It was ruining
if
my
you're on
experience.
skates. But I'm interested because I would, expect that, and I know that you are such a known face in Scotland, the full of Scotland, but East Kilbride in particular, why is that more of an issue?
I don't know because I think
What's
maybe they
happening
know
there?
I'm from East Kilbride, but they still don't know we're married. So they're like,
Did you
never
not
mi-
go and see a band in East Kilbride, and the whole time you were watching them, you couldn't believe they'd come to East Kilbride?
Yeah, Ocean Colour Scene came to East Kilbride right at their height of fame.
They go to Dunfermline, where I'm from, all the time.
Do they?
And I
must
don't.
have a
I want
thing
to know
for
who
wee
the tour
towns.
manager
What's
is.
going
Though,
on?
like, what? And I'm totally not
Must
against
be a
that.
Scotty
I
dog,
like
Kendra.
seeing towns like
Aye.
getting that
But
type.
sometimes, see if you just want to do but some of these bands just do like a mammoth tour, like they like get everywhere they could, everywhere where there's a stage, where
Sure
there's
enough.
anything they can stand on and have a mic.
But maybe
they'll
every
do it.
town has it. Like they're sort of. It feels as if they're so happy that you've come, that
Aye.
you've made the effort. In the same way that the Barrowlands is the #1 gig for so many bands around the world. They all quote Barrowlands. It only has 2,000 people capacity, I think.
Yep.
So there's
Yeah.
much bigger places they could go to in Glasgow, but the Barrowlands is the place.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
such
You
an
should mention that
institution.
about East Kilbride because the whole time I was watching Ocean Colour Scene, me and my best pal were going like that. What are Ocean Colour Scene doing in Crystals in East Kilbride? Why are they here? Do you know what I mean?
Once I was in Fort William actually this year, and someone went to me and went, "Oh, they told me they came to see one of my shows or whatever," and then they were like, "What are you doing in Fort William?" And I was like, "I don't think that's that ridiculous a place to be, for being honest. Why is there such
You're
an issue?"
free to
But
roam.
then they asked me it so many times that I thought, Why am I?
I actually started to annoy you. What am I doing? I'm going.
Aye.
I'm getting up the road.
I can go wherever I want. Then I start getting defensive. I flip it over. I'm like, what are you
You
doing
were
here,
taking the
actually?
comedy to Fort William and they were annoyed at you for being there. That doesn't make sense, Paul.
It doesn't. So you've been filming the latest season 3. It's completely finished for Jules and
Yes.
Greg's Wild Swim.
Yeah.
How did you decide whose name came first?
Well, Jules came up with the idea for the show.
Right.
I never called it that though.
No, but I suggested you put your name first because I think Greg and Jules doesn't sound great. You know what I mean?
He's looking
Doesn't
after
sound great.
himself.
You know what I mean? Here's Greg. I'm going to talk about the menopause now. Excuse me, Jules, while I talk about the menopause. And
That's what this podcast is pretty much. I'm like, Kendra, I think I can talk about that.
Paul wants to tell
Yeah.
me about women's issues.
Yeah, I'm like, I remember my
Experience.
first
Yeah.
experience learning about
Yeah.
this women's issue.
what Jules meant to say when she talks about the kids leaving home for the first time in the empty nest, what she's really feeling.
We're so similar. It's
We need to
amazing.
consider why that's the case when you're a long-standing married couple and we are not, and this is a gay man. And I am a straight woman.
That's what I love to do when people say that to me, like, or if they just be like, I did it to someone recently. It was Fern Brady, actually. We were doing a gig together. She said something about, like, mentioned something about me being gay, and I went, I'm not gay. And she was like,
Terrified face.
what? And then she actually said to me, she went, sorry, can I just clarify are you not? Because I'm really sorry if I've just made it. And I was like, no, I love to have that power over people, not that I can just
Yeah.
be like, when it's just a given, that I can make them question it and get all scared
Beautiful.
that something bad's going to happen to them. 'cause
And I'll
they've
bet
said
every time they do go like that, like
Not
a cat.
me.
that. Oh, it feels
Not you.
You
amazing.
can never make me question it. I know you're gay. That
Okay.
seems so layered.
yeah.
Anyway, back to your show.
Yeah, it's back to your wonderful show, which has just wrapped filming season 3. And when will that be available to watch?
February,
February,
March, I
March.
think. Yeah.
February,
Soon.
March.
It's
The
normally
series is
January,
great.
but it's
Like that's
just,
such a good run.
we can't
Yeah.
believe it. Like
Yeah.
genuinely, honestly, sound like a sap. Can't even believe we got a pilot, to be honest. It was just a kind of joke, wasn't it? And then we put the idea in and it was like, well, this will never happen. And then they said, we'll make a pilot. And now we've finished series 3.
How long had you guys been doing it just together or individually before you thought this would make a really good TV show?
I think about a year and a half or 2 years, maybe.
So it could be
Because
like
it wasn't-
5 minutes, then we thought, do you know what, we need a TV
One
show.
one Duke, you were out.
Sitting there freezing going, write this up, Jules. This would be great.
Get a pitch talk on the go. Right.
Yeah,
So a year
about
and a
5
half.
dips in and that was it. But it was like
Yeah.
COVID time and I was doing a podcast. We'll not talk about that because it's cancelled now. I'm like, it wasn't cancelled, it just was rubbish. It wasn't rubbish, but anyway, it was all right.
Keep thinking the
Keep
whole.
going.
Every
Stop
single
heckling
emotion.
yourself.
I'm heckling myself.
Yeah, stop it.
But it was the guys that would now do the swimming show with. And so we've got Lorraine McIntosh to thank because she put us in touch with them and went, I think you should send them this idea. And it was basically, we went up to Inverness to visit Greg's pal who's got a clothes shop. And then we back down, and I'd been doing Scott Squad at the time when they always put these wee GoPro cameras in the car, and me and Louise McCarthy just sit and talk crap, and that was always our favourite bit. And we were having a right laugh, and we're putting on Scottish music, we're driving about the Murray, and I said to Greg, maybe we can make a show where we just drive about, talk shite, and swim with folk. And Greg was like, Jules, I know he doesn't sound like that, but I'm going to do it right.
I love when you do this.
Jules,
Moose.
Jules, write that down, Jules. And I was like, what? And so we got home that night and I wrote it down and I kind of, spoffed it up a wee
But
bit.
it's so
and
simple.
That was
but
it.
so effective.
I made it not sound simple and Greg went, no, didn't rip it up. Was like, go back and say exactly what you said
He
in the
said, "Rip
car.
up, stupid woman.
Ah,
I'll tell you
stupid.
what to do."
Come on,
When this show
What Jules means, is what she said.
right away he changed the title, Greg and Jules Wildswim. And then I put it back to simple terms and it's just timing and we sent it off to Tony and Jim and they'd money for a pilot and
Oh,
that's how it
that's
came
great.
about.
And people are so connected with it so much. And a lot, as like you briefly mentioned earlier, a lot of people just didn't know you guys were married. They had no idea.
No, that's
No.
true. Yeah.
And I love the, like, imagining the penny dropping for people.
Well, I think
Like
I actually, that's interesting you say that because I think I actually only realised you guys were married when I was sitting at Paul's show at the Kings and you two sat in the same row as me. I think we were actually sitting together.
Yes.
And then we were
You
both...
all had the comp tickets.
Yeah, we
that's
did.
why
That's
you
why we
were
were
sitting
sitting
together.
They were very good
The
seats.
VIP
They were good
tickets.
Very
seats.
much.
Family's tickets, beautiful.
Yeah, and then we were hooting and hollering, and then we were both
Oh.
kind of like, ha ha ha, like laughing with each other. And then I realised that you were a couple, and I don't know how I actually didn't know that before
I
either.
don't know when I knew that either. When does everyone's first time they learn Jules and Chris are together?
Did you turn
Sure.
round and we were getting off each other during the show?
That's right. You were going, that's a shite. It's-
But see, when you say it,
think
though,
I
how
might
would
have-
you know, though? How would
Did
you
I
know?
meet you for the first time? Because you came backstage after.
Yes.
Was that the first time I met you?
Must have
Must
been.
have been,
I
yeah.
think I'd met you before.
Did
Do you
yous
know,
had
at the
met?
BBC Scotland channel launch?
Was
Or
that
something like
right?
that.
Really?
Aye. I think we were in the same vicinity, and I was like, oh,
That was the first time.
He
I met
tried to keep me from you.
yeah. And then
I
we
felt
went on
quite
to be
excited because I was sitting
collaborators.
beside Kendra because I'd known Kendra from the telly. I'd
Yeah.
known who you were, and I was like, oh, Kendra's here. And I knew you were pals, so I was probably stalking
Yeah,
you.
that's how we got chatting, because then I was
Aye.
like ferociously typing in my group chat like me and Miss Hoolie are really hitting it off. by the way.
Actually,
Which is crazy considering
love
I
that.
had honestly done many, I am not joking, many a hairstyle like really close to that time period where we met, which was heavily influenced by Miss Hoolie's original flick. And that is true.
in the original, we'll get on to Miss Hoolie because I have so
Yeah.
many questions specifically
No
about
problem.
the hairstyle not coming back, but we'll get to that.
I
Just
know.
think about
I
it in your
know.
head. We're all missing it.
Did you love that hairstyle?
Oh, it was iconic. The flick.
It really was.
It
It
was
was her from
iconic.
Delight. I told you that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
grooves
Yeah.
in
It
was that
ha.
big.
Lady Pierre.
That makes perfect sense, actually.
I know.
But we actually, just before you guys came backstage at that show, Kendra came backstage and she went, Miss Hoolie, Victor for Still Game, they were loving it. And she was telling me all about Greg's laugh in particular,
Oh,
which
his
was a great
laugh's hilarious.
compliment.
Yeah.
I
Best
hear
laugh.
you've got a great laugh.
I've got a very big
It was-
honking laugh.
You've got a
Booming
ha
laugh.
So I was.
But I'll tell you, his
That's
laugh
what you
is-
need. That's what us on stage want to hear.
Oh,
so
aye.
thank you.
But the thing is, though, right, obviously, because he's my husband, when you're in a comedy and you don't hear his laugh, see the scare that goes into your body?
You're like, this is terrible.
Because I'm a total wee whore for the laughs.
Oh.
That's right.
And that's why we're all here. Trust me, that's what
Watch out
brought us
for
all
that.
together.
That's going to be in the paper at some point.
A whore
wee
for
whore.
laughs.
I'll call it myself. But as we are, of course we are. And Greg will come to the Tron panel. I'll go back to that. I can't bear I'm not doing it this year. That's another thing. But when he is there, and obviously you ham it up when your loved ones are in. Of course you do. But
you want it to be your best one, don't you?
Of course.
Yeah.
You like that pure sweat and extra and all that because they're in. But see, if I do something, Greg doesn't laugh, I come off my... What's
What's
happening?
going on?
Identity crisis.
It's
It's
rare. It's
terrible.
rare. I laugh like Max Cady, who's Robert De Niro in Cape Fear. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
When he goes to the cinema with a cigar, he's going.
That was genuinely
That's
what you
amazing.
were doing. I'm like, honestly doing.
But I
It's a
thought
beautiful
I've
thing.
done a good job if I could hear that laugh for that.
You
Because
could
I was
hear
like, I
it.
heard that laugh.
You were very
Do you know what
funny.
I loved when I'm on stage? Recognising my loved ones' laughs.
There you
like
go.
Sometimes I
Beautiful
can hear
thing.
my friends laugh
Yes.
particularly, and I can't see them. Because you know that thing when you're on stage, you can barely
Oh.
see anybody.
Yeah, sure.
And I always,
Oh.
it's funny to tell a story. One of my sister's husband is a musician, right? And I remember one of my aunties going to see the show, and he was on stage singing a song, and my auntie was going... she was talking to my sister, and she went, and when he was singing that love song, he was looking you right in the eye, and he was like, I was still looking at him. I can't see fucking it. It's like the lights are in my eyes.
Yeah.
And I think that all the time. It's just like
Right at
you're
you.
looking away, but you can hear. I think it's amazing when you can hear. Like I'm like, oh, my friend's sitting over there. I can hear it.
Yes.
So
Yeah, it's amazing. You
sure
feel
I-
really
yeah.
supported.
and it's an amazing thing to have an identifiable laugh. So you should
Yeah.
be really
Yes.
proud of that, Greg.
proud of you for
No, all
that.
the other stuff
Thanks,
in your
team.
life. Forget all the achievements.
Listen, I'm very
The
proud of
laugh.
my laugh. Very proud of
Because
my
it's
laugh.
yours and only
And it's,
yours.
it's like a lighthouse or a fog thing. It's like a letting the person on stage know that I've got them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a great laugh. That's a really
Do you know,
good
I
laugh.
seen a sketch once and I thought, oh no, I didn't realise this was like a performative thing to do, but it was like comedian in the audience of other comedians' show. That was like the sketch, and it was just
Oh,
like laughing extra
taking
loud
it.
and clapping and making
Yeah.
them feel heard. And I went, oh
I would
yeah,
do
I do
that.
that all the time just so they really feel
I would
good.
do that, of course,
That's what I
because
want them to do.
yeah.
But
I
anyway,
feel
that was 45 tangents from.
it's good though. I love a
what Joe's
tangent.
doing.
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
Who needs questions? This is much more
This
fun.
is nicer.
You know,
Mm,
but
yeah.
Much more fun.
the reason that we we wanted you on because we love you, but because you have just released your brand new book. Tell us all about it.
We're on the book tour, Jules and Greg's Wild Swim book, which is kind of, it's weird, isn't it? It's really nice, but it's almost like, this is when I get sappy, it's almost like a dream. We were sitting in Waterston's in Kirkcaldy last night, right? And this is how I dreamed it would be. It hadn't been like this so far. We were in a book shop with, now you see it in the movies, and folk are there and all that. And the only thing we didn't have a plinth, I was a wee bit annoyed about that. But we were sitting.
Made it less
we
of a
came
dream.
in
Take
and
note.
I know. They were sitting there, and don't mean like, oh, they're all sitting there for us. And the guy that was hosting it was lovely, wasn't he? And his wife made a cup of tea, and they were like, now you just go in. And they were all sitting there, and it was just lovely. I was like, this is what I thought it'd be. We've been to other places, it's been great, been in churches and all this kind of stuff in these big halls. But that to me was like the cozy, that's how I'd imagined it. What's the word? Not manifest it, but envisioned it. I was
Yeah,
like, this
visualised
is what,
it.
visualised it. This is what it'll be like. And that happened last night.
I was born in Kirkcaldy. There's an inherent warmth in that place.
It was so warm. Oh my God, we went to a brilliant chip shop on the way home as well.
Which one?
Oh my God.
Valenti's.
Valentis.
I've heard that, but I've
Oh,
not
was
seen
he
Yeah,
it.
very
go
good?
to the Golden
Next time.
East Coast
Chat.
chippies just
Oh, it was
go
so
off
good.
the
But I'm
most.
so
So
glad
good.
you said that. I didn't know that's that where you grew up.
Yeah, not where I grew up, but I was born in Kirkcaldy, but from Dunfermline.
way.
One of my favourite stories is when we went to Barcelona to Primavera, and the woman at the passport control had questioned Kendra's passport about where she was born, and Kendra was like, "Why would I lie about being born in Kirkcaldy?"
It's like it's hardly a boastful thing. I'm not saying it's bad, but I would be like, yeah, Kirkcaldy. It's not like LA. Do you know what I mean?
Perfect place for a spy to hide, though.
Yeah,
true.
true,
Spylight.
true.
Yeah,
Well, I'm
spylight.
relieved to hear you had a good time in Kirkcaldy.
Honest to
We had
God,
a great
I'm not
time,
just saying
yeah.
this. How nice were they?
But we had a great time. I mean, we wrote the book in January and February, and I have to tell you that Jules is a master procrastinator.
Oh, really?
You've
I
never
was going to
seen
ask
anything
about your
like it.
process.
So we would sit down opposite each other, and Jules would be like,
Was there a chaise long?
there was no
There might as
shit.
well have been.
there
No, we
should
had to
have
sit opposite each other at the table, so it was a bit like a cop interrogating a suspect. It was a bit like that. And I had the laptop. I was a bit of a control freak like that, you know, and she
A
was
bit.
talking. I would type like that. What next, master? But one time she'd be
type
like,
quicker than
she'd sit there and she'd go, how would you feel if I made a lasagna?
I know, but
We've written
come on.
18 words, Jules.
I
She goes,
was
those windows are filthy. I'm going to go.
But that's how they get you, because lasagna does sound good. So
I know.
you have to
you can
go.
eat that once you
I was
finish
just
writing.
about to say it's like a reward almost.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely the same. I'm a master procrastinator, and I encourage. I notice it
Yes.
myself.
Oh, yeah.
I encourage it in other people. You
It's
know?
You're good at
Yeah.
distracting.
I do, and I'll bring
Yeah,
up,
it's
and then
distracting.
sometimes I even like people I work with, producers or even other writers, will just be like, "That's enough now.
Yeah.
Like we need to put a line in the sand, like no more chatting." And I'll be like,
That's
"Okay,
him.
that's what I need," because
Oh
nothing
my
will
God.
ever get done.
We need corralled as
Aye.
procrastinators.
Well, I used to work
Lovely
with
word.
Ford, and we used to lie on these two sofas, and his wife Leslie would come in like with a cheese sandwich or something, and then she'd come back about 7 hours later, and we were in the exact same position, and we were like, she'd give us something else, and we'd go, we're just about to watch Countdown now, and then I'd go home.
This comes out. He's got a cheek, and sometimes he's saying they would be in the house eating a cheese sandwich. They would go to every cafe in Glasgow. I couldn't go anywhere because I go, oh, that looks nice. We've been there. Me and Ford's been there, and we're having to have a break so we can, we're brainstorming in the new cafe, or
yeah,
he's went go-karting once
I
as
know.
well to get the.
We nearly bought a tuk-tuk. You know those things that deliver food? You see those Thai trucks? But the reason we didn't was because there's one driver and one passenger. And Ford was like, if we go down fucking Byers Road, it's going to look like you're my chauffeur.
Needs to be
I
drool.
wish they'd bought that.
And now someone's listening to this and they're going, no TV show pitch, no TV show pitch. But
Yeah.
listen, as the other time, writing, a large part of it is talking.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah.
Too much of it is talking in my experience. But it is, you need to be going through it all, in order to realise what you're writing. You do need to talk. You can strike a balance,
You
definitely,
can,
but
and it's like anything that comes full circle, because we went away, we took ourselves away on a holiday to finish the thing. We went to
Nice.
the marina at Kenmore. It was lovely, and there's a slide straight into the water there. So
Oh, I
I
want
thought
to
once
go
we
there,
finished,
I've
we'll
seen
slide
that.
right into the water. It was smashing, which we did. But then I'm sticking up for myself. Then I would go, come on, we'll do another page or so. And Greg would be like, no, Jules, that's it for the day. And I'd be like, you can't win with this guy. So I'm now keen. I'm all keen to get it done. We're away to do this thing. No, Jules, that's it.
You're
No,
a night
no.
owl, though. She's great at night, that kind of thing.
But this is the thing, that's what's interesting about you as a duo doing this, because like even if you're working towards the same goal, a lot, because you're individuals, people do have different processes and ways
Yes.
and I'm like, I would not like, I don't love working at night, but I've definitely changed that the more work I've been doing, because I'm like, well, I
Right.
just have to adapt.
Okay.
But my preference would always be like 9 to 5 hours, cut and dry, and I take my time as well in terms of like, if I can't get something right, I'll be like, oh, I don't want to do it. If
Yeah.
it's not going down quickly the way I want it, then it's not working.
Fair
But
enough.
as a
it's interesting because
partnership,
we are the
how-
shame in that way.
Yeah,
Same.
we're the shame.
We're the shame, we're the shame.
Like
I'm
it
a
takes
night
us a
owl.
while because we want it to be perfect the minute it goes down.
And
rather
I want
than
to
throw
write
loads-
stuff like, because we're
Yeah.
writing something together right now, and I have like, I'll be like very happy to write something at 3 a.m, which I know is insane, but if I'm awake and I can't sleep and I go, I have this idea, I want to write it then.
Yeah.
Instead of doing, and that just works for me. And you're not. That's not how you work.
No.
You're so organised, and I'm not.
How great is it to get up at 3 a.m. and write, and then like the birds are coming up in the morning, and you're like, my work is done.
Yeah. And you're like, and I'm a tortured soul, and I'm a writer, and I
But
stay up
then
all night
also
writing on my
because
typewriter.
We're on different schedules, though. Sometimes I'm like, I would never be available or all right to do that. But if
Yeah.
I know that you
Never
are,
available at 3 a.m.
if you are doing that, then I can wake up and be like, oh, that's been done overnight.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
Fair
mean? If
enough.
that wouldn't
Yeah.
happen
Like-
if it was just me, so it can work.
And
Yes.
for any
That's
night,
how that works. So I like
It
observing.
can
this is
work.
it can.
work.
for any night owls listening to this, I want to share a tip that changed my life. The function that you can do on most, I know you can do it on Gmail, I think you can do it on Outlook as well, scheduling emails. So see when I want to write an email to someone, but I'm like, I don't want to look like a psychopath.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sending
aye.
an email to like somebody at the BBC at 3 a.m.
Oh,
Schedule it, and I sometimes and you just choose what time it goes the next day. So
I
it
know
looks
when
like,
you've scheduled an email.
yeah, because it's
I can
8 o'clock
sense
on the
it.
dot.
Can
I'm
you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the
Like, that's got a
automatic
whiff
feature,
of
you can click
8
send in the morning, and it'll send it at 8 a.m. But now that's too obvious because it's like on the dot. So what I've started doing is I'll now like do like 7:53.
That's so sophisticated.
Do you do that? Would you
I
think
didn't
of that?
even know that you could do that.
Yeah.
There you
It
go.
changed my life because now
Smarter,
I've
not harder.
now I've exposed myself. People know that that's what I do.
Everyone's
But
on to it now.
Listen,
It's good
send
Are
though.
all your
whenever you
emails
want.
written at 3 a.m. in anger and then scheduled?
But you know what the beauty is? I did write quite an angry email once, which I don't do. Not even an angry, let's say a firm email. And
Yes.
then I'd scheduled it for the next day, and I was lying in bed and I went, no, Paul, that's too far. And I cancelled it.
It's so interesting to me to talk to you guys about these kind of things because I talk to my boys about this, right? About texting etiquette and all of these different things because I'm 55, right? So every day's a learning day when it comes to that stuff. But do you have like protocols for all those different? Do you think, for example, that the voice note thing now is kind of
I bet
annoying
yous
if it goes
do.
on too
Well,
long?
I can say I do it. I use them, but I do think that it's a selfish thing to do.
It depends.
I think it's an entitled thing to do, actually.
No, it depends
Do you?
very much on how many voice notes you're sending and what about.
Yeah.
To me, a voice note's a really effective way of, like, if I'm catching up with my mum, right, but I'm on the move, we'll send quite a few voice notes back and forth because
Yeah.
it's more practical than just
Aye.
being on the phone or whatever.
Yeah.
But like if someone's sending you multiple voice notes about just like what they're having for their dinner in that moment
Yeah.
and they just want to hear
Eat
their
it.
own voice, let's face it, they're pressing play, they're listening to it back.
Yeah.
To me, I'm like,
I
that's
do
a
that,
bit
I
of
do
a, why are we doing this? But I'm a big voice note and an
am
advocate
as
for
well.
voice notes, but not for the sake of it.
I
Right.
think
That's
expecting
interesting.
people to listen to it, unless, like you described there, is perfect. Like if you're catching up with someone, or you're telling a story, and sometimes we're all storytellers here, guys.
Yeah.
You need
We
to
love
get
a
it the
story.
full whack. You need to get.
You need the vocal.
You need the
The
vocals.
voices.
So sometimes you go, and like I'd rather they hear it in this way. But sometimes like I'll be lazy, I'll do it out of laziness, and sometimes my friends do it, and I'm like, I can't listen to that right now. Going to just tell me. But
Yeah.
now, like I know Instagram does it now. I don't know about other places.
Yeah.
If you send a voice note, it gives you a
Caps it.
like it gives you the like a. What
Oh,
you
the
call it?
AI kind of-
translation of it.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that,
types
yeah.
it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's good works for everybody.
Are
But it's
you-
way more sophisticated than a text, isn't it?
Are
Because
you
of-
big
Yeah.
on like phone calls? Because I know quite a lot of parents, like my
Yeah.
mum and my dad. My dad would always phone me. He would never send a voice note. I wouldn't even put that forward to him.
I think it's. I'm fascinated by the fact that phone calls are no longer a thing. I don't know anybody that when I call, I'm going to say
Tell
this.
them
I'm going to say this like
what you
this is
said
happening
on
to the
the
whole
meet-
world. And it's just me. Nobody answers my phone calls. I'm like, it's amazing how the phone calls disappeared because nobody answers. Everybody else is like, hello.
Everyone's like, I've never been off the phone. Actually. Oh God.
The phone's never been more in fashion.
No,
actually.
and so I'll never leave a voice. I'll never leave a message. That seems like a waste of time.
I would never listen to a
I
voice.
I
Wait,
get
it's
pissed off when
Never.
I get a voicemail.
I would never
Yeah,
listen
a voicemail
to it
you could
ever.
almost just
No.
delete it,
Yeah.
can't you?
Yeah.
And I do. I often
It's
do.
weird, isn't it?
A study's going to come out and it'd be like, study shows people using the phone more than ever.
Yeah, well, that'll be
But
it.
not when it comes to Greg Hemphill.
I'm just sitting staring at my phone. What's
You
that?
don't. You're funny on the phone.
No, but I've really noticed in the last few years, even my pals my age, who I think would be okay with a phone call, it's almost like that's some kind of anxiety-inducing thing now. You know what I mean? Whereas a voice note's like maybe it's you're in control, you can consume it.
Yeah.
Because when I
you
see
want.
somebody phoning me, I do feel a bit like, oh,
I scream sometimes when I see the phone. I'm like, who? Why? Especially if it's one of my friends. Like, see if you just
Why?
phoned me and we
Emergency.
weren't like going to do like coming here or going. We had plans. If we just out the blue phoned me, I would be a bit concerned.
I would always preface it though. If I'm going to phone someone, I'll say, "Can I give you a call?" Or like,
No,
"When are you
that's
available?"
worse.
I know that's bad,
That's
but,
worse.
but it's still like checking if you're available. And I would also, if it wasn't anything scary or urgent, I would let you know that. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm
Oh,
aware
that's
of how
good.
people do take
Yeah.
a random phone
so
call.
that's a
these
nice
days.
etiquette thing, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
You're sort of
That's
like,
nice.
you're descaling the importance of the message.
And can I ask, when you're communicating with your kids over text, would you ever say they message you saying, "I'm going to be doing this today"? Would you ever reply thumbs up emoji?
Well, I started to, because I got slagged off by my kids for sending the yellow thumb emoji. I started to
Don't like
write
that.
yellow thumb emoji.
Oh, that's good. That's funny.
And I thought
That's
it was
layered.
quite sweet, but my kids hate when I send them emojis.
They don't like
fucking
that.
hate it, don't they?
Well, the thumbs up, I think it's quite an intergenerational thing. That's like when I receive it, you think, oh, you may as well have punched me in the throat. Like you may as well have told me
There was
you hate
one-
me and you want me to die.
There was one
Because
point when
it's
I actually
so
thought there
cut
is nothing I could say to my family right now that would not get me that response. Like I could literally be like, "That's me pregnant,"
Yeah.
thumbs up. I just got battered
Thumbs
last
up,
night,
yeah.
thumbs up. Like it was just every single thing. I was like, "What's actually happening here?" I had to have a
So
word. Well,
good.
I did have a word too.
What's
Yeah.
that? Just covering everything.
Well, I think it was just. I don't know what I thought.
It's famously the dad
acknowledgement.
emoji.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the dad
Uh-huh.
emoji.
Yeah, to
and it
get-
looks like Homer's fist
Yeah,
as well.
Yeah.
it does.
You know
It's
what I mean?
very that vibe, but it's been something that's quite divisive. If people have realised, like half the people are going, but I'm saying okay, I'm
Yeah.
acknowledging it, but I can see it just looks rude.
It does, but it's so funny. At
We
the
like to
same
do an
time.
awkward. You know that thing where Disney made all the kind of live action of the movies, of the cartoons.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
We do live action emoji. So Jules will say, "I'm going to go and make this for the dinner. Would you like that?" And I'll put an awkward thumb right in her face, like that.
That's good.
Got this.
and she does that too. It's kind of like this.
We
kind
don't
of-
know what else to say. We just got
Yeah.
that together.
That's-
And that comes from back in the day, right? The olden days, remember when we were about,
Yeah.
and
The war.
they would take your photo for like the Daily Record, and you would get awkward, and then somebody would go, "Just put your thumbs up." There's photos of us.
Yeah, that's right. And if somebody comes up and asks for a photo
Remember
with
you used
you,
to put your thumbs up.
yeah.
Would you never do that now? Bring it back. Start doing
Well,
it now. And
To
see
me,
if it-
that's
if
like
it tags
posing with a
on.
massive check. That's what that feels like as dated as that.
That is no longer acceptable, is it? To
No,
start.
I remember the one we were doing something together, and this was years ago, and we were in our house doing it. It was our own fault, and this guy, I mean, honestly, I hope he's still not a photographer because he's a warmer. And anyway, he said to us, "Could you just go to the door and keek round?" And I'm
Yeah.
like that, trying to be nice, and all I heard was Greg going, "No,
Keep round the door.
Do you know,
keek round the door in your own house."
I hate it because you're at the mercy of these photographers.
Yeah,
Right, and see, anything like that, especially if it's for the paper, right? Because it's one thing if you did an interview for something that's a bit more, I want to say cooler, but like a bit, something that has a bit more art direction to it. But
Yes.
the paper, it's like these are the posing with a big check photographers,
Yes,
right? And
Yeah.
they'll just be like, just do this, and you think, never in my life would I do that. Why would I do it now? And do you know what has happened to me time and time again? When this happens, I go, well, this is just for all my friends to send endlessly in the group chat and laugh at me. Once I did a thing with Iron Brew, and I just you
Tell
loved
us.
that one. It was all I had. Look, it was a great job. Thank you, Iron Brew. I really appreciate the job. Would love to do more. They literally had me posing with just holding a can of Iron Brew in front of a giant can of Iron Brew, and I was just like,
That was a look on
Yeah.
your face.
Did you have a
as well.
thumb
I had to hold it towards the camera and
May
smile.
as
There
well
was no,
have had a thumb up.
I should have had it.
Okay.
It was Iron Brew can to the camera, smile on my face. That has never been sent more in my group chat than
The
anything.
keeking round the door one is so funny because can I just say I've got a picture of Miss Hoolie in my mind's eye keeking round the door.
I probably did.
Yeah,
too.
Miss Hoolie's
that
definitely
was-
She's,
she's-
she has definitely keeked round
Yeah.
the door.
Oh no,
fits.
there's an official keek round the door. That sounds really, really pretentious. I don't mind if I'm in a character, right?
No, I get that. I
I'm
get
dressed
that.
as
It's
an
like-
animal. I'll keep
yeah.
doing anyone, so I'll thumbs up or not, by the way. See if I'm getting paid for that. But us in our own house, keeking round the door.
Keeking round your own door. Keeking round
since
your
the-
own door. It's
see, since
crazy. Like,
the-
who's there? Us.
The other
We
one
don't
we
know
get
who's going to be there.
I think there's easily been 2 or 3 times since the swimming show began that we've seen a photographer show up with like a life buoy and we have to keek
Oh,
through it
no.
and gurn. You know, like those.
That's my pet hate, Garmin.
Pet hates gardening.
Oh, Jules hates gurning. She
Oh,
hates
God,
gurning.
slow down.
That was me, age
You're
19.
too young. Look
Yeah.
it up. Anybody that's
What do you
watching this
mean
is too
garden?
young. Oh, this is
Like
great
a
for your-
comedy garden?
Your much younger
Yeah.
audience will.
So you know that life raft thing that you.
No, it's not. It's a toilet seat. They keek through.
Oh, it's a toilet
It's a
seat.
Lavi's pantsy.
Oi, Lavy, he'd you're getting
He
it.
got one right for a birthday party, man, and made people gun through it because he knew I'd hate it so much. That's how twisted he is. But originally, it's a Lavi seat. By the way, there's still gunning competitions. I feel
you get them in
sick.
seaside
I
towns,
actually
that
feel
kind of-
right.
But to
I've
me,
never
gardening
heard of
is
this.
purely a
It's
term
art.
associated with ecstasy.
Yeah, drug use.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
that kind of-
gardening.
You're
aye.
gardening,
That's what
yeah.
gardening is to
People-
us.
So, but you'll get those guys and they have faces like Popeye.
It's
Right.
and they'll take their
terrifying.
teeth out
Yeah,
and they
of
can
course.
practically put.
Aye.
Oh, and then they always do that. You know, like say, boss, I've just said it. So they not only did they do that, then they go.
Jules
Yeah, they
hates
love
it.
it.
I hate it so
It
much.
reminds her of her holidays in the 70s, I think.
Oh God!
And you
yeah, Blackpool's always somebody doing something like that.
And
we
you
to
have
watch
been
it.
asked to do this yourself.
Oh, a couple of
Have you been
times.
asked recently?
Pretty
yeah,
much,
yeah,
really.
absolutely.
Sort of nautical like that. We're talking about this today down at Lusk, so we're doing a thing today. And then I said to the guy, he was like, you know, how long have you been in the water for? And I said, just don't ask us to lie down in it. And he looked at me like that. Because one time we did a photo shoot and Greg again is hysterical, right? Because I'm too polite, but he was like, "Can you just lie in the water?" And Greg's like, "No, fella, no."
We've been in
And
it
then I was
15
like,
minutes by that
"What are
point.
we
admire
lying
that
down
because
for?"
that-
So I have to be polite to go, "Why are we lying down?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "So you're floating and you're meditating." I'm like, "In Loch Lomond." Like,
Yeah,
it's
you've got to be
Baltic.
realistic.
I always
about
think
what
I
you
don't.
can do.
I don't want to ever seem like rude or seem like I just would feel like I should just but then I'm like, then
No.
you're the person whose face is going to be gardening.
And
you're
also-
the person who's lying down.
You get the
Like,
best out
it's
of
not
the whole
photographer.
thing,
Yeah.
I think, if everybody feels comfortable
Aye.
and knows what's right. Like, it's at the end of the day, like, if you're kind of showcasing what you guys are up to, then you know it better than the other. So it's good to just collaborate rather than
Yeah.
you go along with it and be like, "Oh, I hated that and I don't like the final product."
No, I know. I'm
you know what I
actually
mean?
thinking a thing they used to do as well. This is how old I am. And if you were a girl in something, they'd make you stand up and then do your leg like that.
Like a majorette or something.
Honestly, they go, like, all the women stand. Remember, I've told you about this. All the women stand, right? Like,
That's bizarre.
I do, right? I do. And you'd be standing and they go, right, just put your legs up like that. And everyone would do it like ponies like that.
just instinctively.
Me and my sisters do it. We're drunk now. We'll do it for a laugh. Like, we'll do a pose and
We're
then
gonna
we'll go
start
like,
doing
do the
that
legs,
now.
do the legs. Then we'll go like this. There's a four of us with the legs.
Sometimes we instinctively, when we have to get a picture, just put it back to back with each other.
Yeah.
That's
And
good
fold
fun.
it
Back to back with folded arms, quite a
That's
strong.
fun. That's good.
That's
I
like
like
that.
that.
Sitcom.
That's standard. That's good.
Introduce into your lexicon the loud no.
Yeah, just
No.
You'll be
Yeah.
amazed
Greg,
at how
I'm going to
fun and
take you up
effective
on
it is.
that
Very
offer and
commanding.
take it right into my lexicon. And next time I'm going to try it, and if it flops, I'm phoning you. I'm phoning you.
You're phoning.
I'm not
Phone it left,
texting you.
right.
I guarantee you it won't flop. You're
Yeah.
gonna love this.
Yeah.
The best thing is
It's
you
good.
do try and make it less awkward by making it funny.
Exactly.
No, and then they go, haha, still doing
And
you
because
right.
you are funny man, they'll be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, what a joker."
Well, it was
Yeah.
like the
You'll be
Edinburgh
able to
Festival.
laugh.
Every sort of second poster was like two tiny shoes and a big head from up above. It was that kind of looking. You know that kind of looking. I've seen
Yes.
that since the mid '80s, by the way. The little shiny shoes and the kind of.
But do you never feel like when
And
you're in
you
these
shiny shoes.
situations, you just go,
what
I'm
am I
nothing but
doing?"
a performing monkey. That's all I am.
Yeah.
That's all I am to these people.
I got him into a bad one recently. It backfired, but it was all right because not a lot of people seen it. And the guy said, "They're coming down to advertise this book festival in Loch Lomond. We're never away from there. Might as well move down there." And we're in the water. Next thing, he's going, "Can you get in the water and read books?" And I could feel him like that. Oh, and he's like, "You're fine."
That was a
okay."
sunny day. It was lovely.
Remember, it was fine in the end, and then it went on and on and on. We were there for a long time, and I could feel Greg's shoulders getting all tense, and I was like, "Oh, I've got us into." I always get us into stuff. I
Do you know,
do
to be
feel
honest,
bad about
I do
that.
get PTSD at most photo shoots because I know that I'm going to get asked something that's going to make me. But this is not really the photographer's fault. It's because when I was starting out, I did a show called Off the Ball for 1 year, and they took me to Hampden Park, made me take off all my clothes, and I stood there in Hampden Park with a Russian woolly hat on and a football that said "Off the Ball" over my dick and balls, right? And I stood there, and that photo's still out there, and occasionally it pops up, and I go.
Lorenzo's
That's
scrambling for it right now to put in between.
No, listen. I
Bring
was
this back.
23 or 24 or
That is
something.
quite an ask.
But see, that,
Like, that's
And, you
an
know,
ask.
and you're a people pleaser and you want to
You
do
said
it.
yes to
Yeah.
that.
I said yes to
That's
that.
before the nope days.
So, and I remember seeing it, my granddad, look at my granddad who was still alive at the time, looking at the photo and looking at me and looking at the photo, and I remember going, I must never do this to him again. I must never.
but see as well, that was an era where it was even more like stuff like that still happens, but it was even more ridiculous back then. I keep saying back then, back in the
Back in the days.
1945. No, but back then it was an era of like. Even like the way press used to be, like
Oh,
there's so many
yeah,
things you
very
look back and go,
different.
how was that ever okay? Like, how
Don't
did
know
they
how they
ever
got away with
let
it.
someone subject someone to that or to talk about someone in that way?
Yeah.
And I think you kind of did things because it was you're starting off in your career, you know, and you don't want to ever be like, no, I won't do this thing that will help promote what I
I
want.
did
Yeah,
a
well, in
thing
those
the-
days you'd be like, oh, they're difficult. That person's difficult. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
you
that's
do
one
hear
of the
that.
nicer things about getting older. We're obviously older than years. And we were doing a press thing for Balamory. This will get me into trouble, but I don't care. And so we met them all on the first day, and I just felt compelled to say it. And they were kind of saying, anyone get any questions before we start? And I went, can I just say, and I knew it, and then I went all red and went, I've got to see it through now. And I just went, see when you're doing something about us all, I said, but especially the women in the cast, can you not put our age in brackets? It does my nut in. I nearly said tits there, but it does my head in. Why do you do it? Because you don't do it. Greg never really gets it.
Really? That's such an interesting
Julie Wilson
observation.
Nimmo brackets 53. Always. And they were like, we don't do that. And then my producer's at the end of the room going, like, looking at me, and I'm going, and she's a woman. I was like, I'm right. But so I don't know if that'll fall into place when the press stuff comes out. It'll probably be in the headline that's what it is. But it bugs me so much because they don't do it for guys.
But I think, see, I dispute that, Jules. I think they do it for guys. I've seen
Hempy.
I've seen my age. I've been up to 60. I've seen 48. I've seen all sorts.
And that's why
Said Julie
they
Wilson
don't.
Nimmo bracket ageless bracket.
ageless.
Ageless. In a
But
good
then-
way.
Ageless queen.
One of
bracket.
the journalists said, but people want to know your age. I went,
But
what?
do you think that that's because you could, like, because this is like a revival of Balamory and stuff, do you think that people find that somehow like more relevant because it's like a difference in time, or like, is that a factor?
I
Like,
see where you're going with that, but no, because it's before
not if it's
that.
only women.
Aye, it's always-
It seems to be only women.
uh-huh.
Yeah, but they know it's been a 20-odd year
Yeah,
gap. Do you know what I mean? But
exactly.
they seem to sort of be, you know what I mean?
How did you feel reprising the role? Like, were you ready for it, or
No,
like,
I
did
was
you have-
scared actually. In fact,
Really?
it was around the time we were doing Govern Fair Queen.
I
and
think
was
you
talking-
mentioned this to me
Yes.
actually.
I was a
yeah.
little bit scared and a little bit apprehensive, and I just didn't really know what it was. And I think that's because the people that were making it before weren't making it again. So
Right.
it was like a new
a different
family,
crew.
a new gang, and I get scared of that. I don't really love change that much. So I was like nervous about it, and I had a wee while because all different things happened. So it took longer to decide than normal, I feel like, which is not good for me. I nearly wore a t-shirt tonight saying, let me just overthink it. That's me off the back. And the longer I had to think about it, I was like, oh my God. And then I wake up, no. And the next day, do it. It was, I drove them
But
crazy.
nobody
didn't
else
I?
could have done it though.
Nobody
Like,
else
it
could
Could I
have
would
thought you would have been a great Miss
But
Hoolie.
you were
I
sizing me
said
up
that.
at one point. I
Yeah,
was
you
sizing
did.
you up.
You were
I
lining
was
her
like, you
up.
got an agent lining her up. Give him my job.
I would love that role, to be fair. I was
Well,
flattered you were
listen-
even in my orbit suggesting that. I was like, me as a child hearing that. Miss Hoolie will say, you'll be Miss Hoolie.
I'm telling you, I think she would be a great Miss Hoolie.
That's how you
Thank
come
you.
of age and transition into adulthood. Miss Hoolie comes down and
Exactly.
goes, you.
That could actually still happen, Kendra, because it's not came
Gives
out
you the
yet.
keys to the
I could-
greenhouse.
but it could. I could stink the place out as Hoolie Revival, and then you'll just showbiz into. You'll just go into the slot.
That would be a very kind act to go, do you know what, I'm going to take this role
baton.
and bomb it and make it terrible so they have to get to something.
That could still happen, Paul. We're laughing
That
at
could
that.
still happen.
I'm laughing at that.
So to actually formally segue into that is that Balamory reboot is filmed, it's done.
All done.
Oh, it's
and
nigh
when can we
then.
see Balamory?
It's April.
April
I'm
2026.
saying it's all done. It's not. We still get ADR and little songs and stuff to print. So I've not seen a full episode cut yet, which is quite exciting. And I actually said to Greg, I think you start getting excited with this. It's weird because there's a big gap to wait. Again, not good for something like me. I'm overthinking that, going, but I think it will be really exciting.
Well, I went out to visit the sets. Jules very kindly asked me out, and I can't wait for people to see them because they're absolutely beautiful. The detail, it's kind of like, you sort of imagine everything kind of ramped up. The amount of
gorgeous.
detail in PC Plum's office and stuff like that. They're really, really beautiful. They've made an amazing job of it.
Tell us about the first time around getting the role of Miss Hoolie and what that was like and how it all came about.
Oh, yeah.
What age were you back then?
I
in
was
brackets?
20. Brackets, take it out, scrub it out. I was 29, 28 or 29.
Yeah, around about then, yeah.
Because I had my birthday on Mull, 29 I think, and went up that first summer and I was 30. And I just had our son, who's now 24, Benny. He was like 7 months old, and I was starting to audition again, and my agent, Anne Coulter at the time, phoned up and said, I've sent you this thing through, there's about 7 characters, just pick one and you're getting in for that, and whatever, tell me if you like it. And I went through them, and normally I would be, I'll audition for them all, kind of the ones that, and I just went, no, and I just zoned in Hoolie like a psycho, actually. I was like, she's the one for me. I just like
Me
the
when I saw
sound of
you
her.
at King's Theatre. Zoned in on Hoolie like a psycho.
I just was like that, and there was something about her, and I liked it. And then the audition was, what you had to do was go in to the BBC and sing or make up a song for kids. That was it. That was the first thing that we did. And I was obsessed when I was wee with Danny Kaye when he was playing Hans Christian Andersen. Did you ever? This is going way back.
No, I feel like I've heard my mum
Google
actually
him.
speak about this.
Oh my God, he's
bizarrely.
fantastic. I was obsessed with him. And he sang a song called The Ugly Duckling. So I basically just stole that and I made it like how I thought this teacher would say it to kids, but sort of Scottified it up and stuff like that. And then you had to go back into it in 3 or 4 times. And then the day we got it, I actually did a screen test with Andrew Agnew, who's PC Plum. And it was me and him, and it was so nice. And I was like, oh, well, I've had a good laugh, if nothing else. And then one time I got home, my dad was babysitting, Greg was filming, and my dad was babysitting. I'd left all these post-it notes around the house. So I was kind of more worried about him. And by the time I walked home from the BBC to my house, I got a phone call that I'd got it.
Oh, that's so
Amazing.
nice.
And it was like something out of the movies, because that never happened to me before.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
I
that's
was,
a rare thing as well, and it to
Rare,
get
yeah.
so
Aye.
feedback so instantly.
that
It's normally
day,
like,
that day,
yeah.
and I couldn't believe it, and I was so happy. And I took my dad out for his tea.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And he's like, this is great, hen. And it was nice that it was my dad, because when I got into drama school, my dad was really worried. The day I found out, his first thing out his mouth to me was, but what's your plan B?
Yeah.
It's always the way.
And
Yeah.
I hadn't even, and I was like, can you not let me enjoy this? So that was a nice full circle moment with my dad.
Do you know
That's
what, there's
lovely,
something
actually.
about, like, I always think this with working class parents, like, I could genuinely win an Oscar, and my mum would be like, aye, but what's next? What if you get lined up because you need to keep working? And I'd be like, give me a second,
know.
I've just done this or whatever.
You get
It's-
the fear for
it is
us.
it's a thing, they're projecting
Yeah.
that worry
It's a
onto you because they
security
want you
thing,
to.
isn't it? It's what
Yeah.
that
Want to do
security
well.
blanket.
Do you remember when that happened for Balamory? Because it was weird, because he was doing Still Game the very first week that we both started shooting. So you must have been away.
Yeah, there was about 2 weeks between Still Game and Balamory, and also River
River City
All
started
those
the
shows
same
started
time.
at the same time.
Yeah.
Within about 2
How
weeks
do
of
you
each other.
juggle
huh?
that? Like, see, because obviously it's so nice that you're in a partnership and you both work in the same industry, because you both obviously totally get it and have that understanding between yourselves. But like, see, with having kids and stuff, do you find that, like, then and now, do you still find it as difficult to juggle like professional and domestic and all that stuff at the same time?
It was easier. Well, we were really lucky because Julie's parents were amazing.
Yeah.
And if we were also really lucky in that Jules and I never seemed to be working together at the same time.
That's
Apart
So
from
one of us
that.
was doing it, and then you would do it,
Yeah.
and then other times Jules's parents would step in and just be like, they'd
And your
come around the
mum
house and-
helped, and your dad.
Yeah, my mum too. But so you have your support network and all that, and they're very understanding.
But now, atmosphere, now it's the dog. So Greg will book a gig now, and I'll be like, and Bonnie? And he goes, oh, you'll still out, Jules? And I'm like,
I'll go.
Well,
There was no
I-
part for Bonnie.
And that one would land the first few times, and then it would be like, get that fucking dog's watched now.
as you rightly said when we arrived here, now Bonnie gets a boot, because I
She
take
does.
her everywhere, because Greg forgets now, and the boys are up and away, so we can't rely on them. And also, my mum and dad are too old to look after. They can't
She was
do
a
that.
lovely addition to the show, though, I thought. And
Thank
it
you.
also seemed really right and natural, even the type of dog that she just suited those types of locations.
Yeah.
Does she like going in the water? Like,
She was
what's-
first. She was in
She
the
was
water
the
before we
first.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's been doing it since she was a pup. Really, she used to go into the sea and into lochs and stuff.
Although sometimes she's got sore legs, sometimes it's quite cruel because she's trying to shove her in. She's like, no. But she's got a wee life jacket and stuff like that. But she hates the van. I can say that, and I've said it on camera. She hates the van. She hates the noise of the door. But so this time round, and we're in a different van, I mean, it does look ridiculous. A lot of the time, she's on my knee, like a baby on my knee.
She's quite big to be on your knee, isn't she?
But
she's
it was
way
freezing,
too
so
big.
she's like
Aye.
a big coat. Paul, I can see you tell me getting off my knee now.
No, but that's also
I would-
comfort when you're on the road, and if
Yes,
you're actually
thanks,
even
Kendra.
practically a wee bit chilly,
Yes.
which I have heard you say sometimes you
But
do
a
get a
wet
bit chilly
dog.
for you.
It's more like
It's that size.
It's more like a Sasquatch falling on you.
There's a real weight for
Big
it.
food.
It's too
Kendra,
much.
if that's
You're
comfort,
right.
then so
I know
be
it's
it.
too much. I need to address it, but I
But
can't.
you know, like, if you're ever struggling with, pet care, there's 2 grieving parents of a geriatric pug
I can't even
who
look
want
at how
to
cute your
project
dog
that
is.
onto someone else.
Yeah, but we're
Trying
not.
to steal my dog.
We're not at the creepy stage anymore. So if the dog needs watched, we can have it
Was
in here.
that
Yes,
photo
that would
took
be
the
lovely.
day that you took your dog to see Barbie and Oppenheimer?
It wasn't
She actually
that vibe.
didn't make it to Barbieheimer.
Oh, she didn't make
no,
it.
she did.
No, she did.
She did, sorry.
make it
To Barbenheimer.
Barbenheimer.
I just
She
like to
did.
make people uncomfortable with anything they mention. I was in the Apple store the other day.
make it.
I love to. I was in the Apple store the other day, and the guy literally looked at my phone and he went, like, I was getting something at Fix, and he went,
Oh, no.
"Oh, is that a picture of your dog wearing a hat as your background?" And I went, Yeah, it's actually a picture of my dead dog wearing a hat. And he was like, oh God, I'm really sorry. And I thought, what's wrong with me?
I love seeing you, like you have your own dog on screen and stuff, because that is not to be morbid, but like, see when the day does come that she passes, you'll have all those lovely memories immortalised,
documented.
which is so nice. And she's such a pivotal part of like parts of what you guys are doing.
You should
It's
never
so nice.
really ask how an animal is, because the only animal you can ask how it is a parrot, because they live to about 110. That's kind of safe.
And they can tell you how they
Everything
are
else,
weirdos.
if you don't see the animal with them, you can assume the worst.
Yeah.
But I used to go through a phase of, I don't know, this is how my weirdo monkey brain works. I used to do it all the time, and I've stopped asking about people's partners. Not that they're dead, but
Yeah,
they're not
but they
going
could
out
be
anymore.
gone.
I was famous for it at the taunts. I'd go, oh my God, whoever it was, and how's she getting on? And you'd see folk going like that, and I wouldn't know. And then they go, oh, Jules. And I'd be thinking, oh, I don't go out as much as you. Somebody could have told me. One of you, round the 10 of you round this table, could have told me that he's not going out with her anymore. So now I don't ask about, I'm not being rude. I don't
No,
ask
but
about
I think
anyone's
that's
partner.
that's a safer way to go.
It's the way I'm going forward, because it's just
too
I'm
risky.
talking the rapid fire. What's happening to me? Remember, I said to you, I'm not going out again.
The
And you were like,
relationship angel of death, Julie Wilson, Nimmo arrives,
Yeah.
divorce.
don't mention it yet. Split up.
See, for yous working together for the first time, was it on Chewing the Fat? Was that the first professional collab?
We
Yes.
worked on a radio show, and then we worked on Chewing the Fat. That's right,
Yeah, we did the radio show. It was such a laugh. Me and Greg and Ford on a Friday afternoon, and then they would come round and watch it, and then we would go and record it. But I knew my time was limited on it. Once you got on the telly, I was like, can't just be me doing all the girls.
No,
all
but
the
Jules
time.
came up with some of our best stuff. We were struggling to come up with material one day, and Ford and I were kind of like, oh, because with a sketch show, you're pressing the reset button every 3 minutes, you know, and we're like, and I came home and Jules went, what's wrong? I said, oh, we're just kind of really struggling to write stuff, you know. I said, we need an injection of kind of new ideas. And she went, I had a guy, pal, at school who went round the classroom going, wank, wank, good guy, wank, right? And I was like, really? And I told Ford and went, that's fucking brilliant, we're putting it on the show. So we put it in, that was
I
Jules'.
did not know that.
Well
The
done,
guy I was
Jules.
at school with called Stuart Robertson, who I believe has been
You'll
contacted
be coming
about
for royalties, I was
He will
gonna
be.
He's
And
been contacted.
been contacted through pals in East Kilbride that he's all right about it. He was in Australia, so he was fine about it. But he was really naughty. And you know, when we're naughty at school and you would get taken out, and he would do that, we would do tours with folk, but as he was getting taken out the class, he used to go like that to the folk and point to them, wank, wank, good guy. And he would also this as well with his fingers, thank you very much. And we were obsessed with him. I was like, he's so bad. He's like naughty. He just was a cheeky chappy, wasn't he? Like a full Neddy guy. And he was just like, he wasn't scary. He just didn't. And I just would be fascinated by, how can he not give a shit like that at school? It's great.
Isn't it so funny where inspiration like that comes from? Like, see when you put it like that, like, because you could be sitting looking at something for all fucking day and like, trying your hardest to get like a joke, and then you just need like some small nugget of like nostalgia or like a reference that like someone else brings to you, and you're like, that's
And
so
it's
you're
funny.
constantly looking
really
for
simple,
that.
and also it's kind of like it's just staring you in the face. And but Jules does this all the time. She comes up with catchphrases that aren't on the
I
telly.
do
She's
know.
doing one at the minute, but she's doing it all the time. And me and the boys have noticed it. And I'm like, you could put that on the TV. It's really funny. So
What am I doing?
she'll walk up and I'll be sitting there with my dinner or something like that, and a cup of tea, and I've got my feet up, and she'll go like that. She'll go, you got your dinner there, you got your lasagna there, you got a cup of tea. That's nice. You got your feet up. You're watching your favourite show. Fucking good to yourself, isn't you?
That's such a mum thing to say. Anything
fucking
you
good
do,
to himself.
You're
Yeah.
having one like slither of joy. If you're on holiday, oh, my mum's big one, huge one on holiday. Where's that year now then? She knows where I am. I've told you where I am. Literally sent her the address. She's like, you're good to yourself, aren't you? You're never
so
half
cutting.
a plane, are you? Oh, you kind of get your arse on the hoose.
It's
you.
so cutting, isn't it?
I think it's the
Oh
way
my
our
God,
parents look
Kendra,
at
I'm
us.
your mum.
No, but
They do.
when you said that about you saying that, you
Must
saying
be a
I
mum
say that's
thing.
because I got it from my
There
mum.
you go.
But that's
Uh-huh.
what you, something of that, and then you exaggerate and you exaggerate,
Yes.
and that's what comes. But I want to talk about Chewing the Fat, one, because it is so amazing, and for so many of us, it was such a like when we were kids, that was just like that was the only kind of thing I knew as comedy, you know. And
What age were you when you first saw
God,
it?
that's making us
well, I
old.
must it. So when did it? What year did it
So
come
it
out?
started, the radio started in 1997, but not, obviously that was kind of like a bit niche. And on TV it started in 1999.
Well, I would have been 3.
1995.
Yeah.
So I definitely started watching it at my gran and Di's. I don't even, you might know that word actually because it's a Fife word for granddad, but no one
Right.
ever knows. But I feel like
What did you say?
Di, D-I.
See, when I
don't
first
know
met Kendra and she just casually said my day, and I was like, what?
Because it feels
And
false
then-
to say granddad when I never called him that, but you
Yeah,
always
yeah.
have
But
to
worse
explain
than
it
that,
when
when
you
she
say
said,
Aw.
my die, and I was like, hold on, what's that? And you're like, well, that's my great-granda.
die,
Oh,
double
never
die.
heard-
I love that. I've
I like
never
that.
heard it. I
Yeah,
like
that's
it.
cool.
So I used to always watch it at my gran and Di's bit when I would go and stay over. And,
Got
that
you.
was- and they had it on. I remember it so clear. I can actually feel how it felt at the time, like a big video.
Oh,
Do you know what I mean? Like
video.
the glossy,
Video.
like video with
Oh,
like
it
love
was
a
so
video.
good, cracking open
and
the
I
video
used to
case.
watch it at my
Oh.
gran and Di. So I must have been. It was when I was a wee bit, probably towards the end of primary school into
Aye.
Yeah.
secondary, maybe.
Right. Okay.
So like maybe somebody's
I
watching
can't
it
remember the
revisionist
exact
kind of.
age I was, but I remember it just being like, because I just didn't know, like, I was trying to justify as a child why I didn't consume more comedies from around the world. I just wasn't well versed, but for me, it was amazing to just see something
That was your
Scottish.
that
and
was
Was it
your
'cause it's
gateway into
Scottish
comedy. That was your
folklore?
gateway into comedy.
I was kind of the
absolutely.
same thing about Gregory's Girl.
Gregory's Girl,
I,
yeah.
admit, I think you've maybe drawn to it because I'm not saying other comedies aren't great. Like American stuff's brilliant and Canadian stuff too, John Candy. But being drawn to somebody speaking like that, that was the thing with me. When I seen Gregory's Girl, my mind was completely blown.
Yeah.
And it was the cinema we used to always go to in East Kilbride. And I remember even seeing the poster, like you're saying. I remember standing going, this guy's looking like a bit goofy and he's looking at a lassie playing football. This will be garbage. Loved it. Loved every second of it. Was obsessed with it. Because I was thinking, I've never seen people being funny in my voice before like that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Restless Natives and stuff like that. Anything Scottish that came along, I was like, oh my God. And we did have comedy stuff on, like, you know, I'll get
Well,
loud. Like,
I think there's at the time as our show came along about every 5 or 10 years. I think before that you had Naked Video and stuff, but
Yeah.
you guys
Yeah.
wouldn't have been born for that. I remember Naked Video when I first came to the UK in 1986. But it is that kind of thing of seeing or hearing yourself.
Yeah.
I think and it's a bit like the mirror's held up to yourself, and you get a chance to laugh at yourself too.
I think what's interesting about Chewing the Fat as well, when I watch it, I was actually rewatching some of it recently, and because the first thing I ever did on TV was a sketch show, like pilot, and it was so incredibly difficult. And I'd done sketches online, whatever, which is a whole different kind of thing. But it's so difficult to do a sketch show, and it's almost the thing that people view almost as the cheapest in terms of like not necessarily how much it costs, but maybe how it looks or how it is, kind
It's not
of
considered as high, but
Yeah,
you know what I
it's
mean?
not.
Comedy in
Yeah.
general
but
often
it's
is.
right.
so incredibly difficult. And see, when I watch Chewing the Fat, I go, oh my God, the amount of like the costumes, everything,
Yeah.
this entire amount of setups for like say like a 10-second gag. I'm like, you had a full setup for one 10-second gag, and but the amount of sketches you fit into one episode
Yeah.
is insane. And I think about how the writing behind that is crazy. The amount of that you have
Having
to
that
keep
amount
doing.
of ideas, even if they're only really quick snapshots of something, it's still a world in
It's
and
so
of itself.
incredibly-
Do you know what I mean? Even if it's not a fully
Aye.
expanded one, if it's just a wee snapshot, but it's still
Yeah.
a character in a world and an inhabit in that. And
I
how
love
it
that
makes
you've
you feel.
said that because I'm not just saying actually sitting beside me, and I have been in it. It's a really sketch is a really hard thing to do, and I think it's you still do it as well, but it's like when you're in it and you're watching it, I remember how hard that was from the radio going to that and then them picking things out, and I think that was really good because you did a back lot of scripts and stuff like that, but then then they've got to fill it with a cast that can do it, and it's a certain type of person that can be in that kind of show as well, being able to do
Being
things.
very versatile.
And
I think
yeah.
we were in our 20s though, and I think if you stop to think about it at the time, if you stop to and dwell on it, you sort of unnerve yourself a little bit, you just kind of, you're, and I think your brain is like a muscle too. So when we would start writing, we were slow and the ideas weren't great. And then as the weeks would go on, it would become quicker and quicker. And we'd be sitting there talking, and like if you're doing Bish and Bosch, the painted decorator characters, we'd have a little nugget
them.
and have a conversation. And then you would jump up out your seat to run through to transcribe it.
Yeah.
Do you ever do that? When
Yeah,
you're doing,
I
like,
absolutely,
your
that's the
family
thing.
dynamic and stuff like that.
And then you actually start to feel a bit of a sociopath if you're just like observing people and you go, I need to write that
No,
down. I need to write that down.
I'm bringing up my mum again. Like my mum's
yeah.
like delivered. Like I'm really bad for it, and she would kill me if she knew I did it. But sometimes if we're in the car, like I'll just like sit with my phone and just like under the recorder, and then just like put it on my close friends.
'Cause it's gold.
Like because I'm like everything you're saying there. If this was being filmed or this was in script, would be the funniest thing ever, and you don't even know how funny it is.
Yeah.
But you do start
That's
to become
what's
so
so good.
observational because you know that's
Yeah.
where the nuggets of like the best humour are.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
See, when I look at the notes app on my phone, it's just the most random excerpts of random sentences, like my granny said this, or my mum said
Yeah.
this, and I just write all down in a way that makes no sense. But when I sit down to write, I go, I don't know what to write about.
You
Let
draw
me just
from
look at
that
all
well,
this,
though, don't you?
this stuff that I've written. But it interests me back then how the volume of stuff you must have had to write. Because I did a sketch show and I was obsessed with saying to them, the sketch is going to be 3 minutes long. I was they're not. I'm like, I can't do it because I didn't feel like I could write that volume. And when I look at it, I just think you did such an amazing job at creating so many like iconic characters, because even then you can come up with a character and go, right, I love that character, I want to do this to death forever, and I can keep using it because I understand it so well, could put it in any situation, I'd know what that character would do. But having multiple versions of that and over multiple series of it as well.
It's a little bit of an illusion though, because the truth of the matter is the first series Ford and I wrote the most of, and the reason we did that was because we wanted to set the tone of the show. And then by the time the show's been out on TV, a lot of the writers who were gathering kind of had an idea of what, like over 6 episodes of half an hour, you can really get an idea of what's making 2 people tick and what makes them laugh. So we had great writers like Robert Florence and Ian Connell. We had Sanjeev Kohli, and Rab Christie, Ian Davidson, Donnie McCleary, and they would sort of watch the show. So by the time we got to the 4th series, I think Ford and I probably only wrote about a third of it or maybe half of it, and their contributions were fantastic.
Well, it becomes its own entity then, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because when it becomes so like easily almost trademarked, like that's so the style of chewing the fat, then if people understand it, they can get involved and it becomes a bit more of a collective thing.
Yeah.
Like you can spot it straight away when it's that type of humour or that type of joke.
Yeah, and everybody loved to write for Karen as well, and her character work was so strong that people could just give her anything and she would just run with it, and so we were very lucky in that sense. But I do wonder if it's funny you're talking about your families and whatnot, and taking your. I wonder if it's the reason we don't get sketch shows anymore is because we've kind of replaced that kind of thing with laughing at like that Cockney granny that everybody loves, that she's interviewing
Oh my
people.
God, I love her.
I mean, she's
Who's
like,
that?
Have you not seen her? She's just like
fucking-
proper
What you
London.
fucking
They
doing?
had that interview in
Oh, yeah.
Kim
Oh,
Kardashian
yeah,
the
you
other
asked
day.
her
Oh
about
my
a baked
God.
potato.
She went,
Yeah, she gets
Yeah,
raging at him.
a jacket potato, and she's
That's
like,
the first
"Wax
time I've
thanks."
seen her.
Why would you need
Amazing.
a sketch show when you've got like real life and
I know.
like real people have sort of come up like cream to the surface now, and they've got millions of followers, and they're just as funny as a dude in a wig from 20 years.
Yeah. So do you think it's because of the way that people consume media and stuff now that maybe like more kind of homegrown organic characters are just there because they're just folk and they become
We can
characters
just see the
almost.
actual person
Yeah.
the character's based
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
And,
Uh-huh.
and do you remember like Billy Connolly jokingly said, and was spoke a truth, he says, that there was probably 30 people in the shipyards that were funnier than him. Now it feels as if we're going to find those 30 people and we can put them on TV or on camera for nothing. It doesn't cost them anything. They don't have to go through the BBC commissioning
Yeah.
process.
Yeah.
We can actually just stick a camera in their face, and then in a week's time they could have like 10,000 followers.
Isn't that so
Yeah.
interesting? There's something like inspiring but also a wee bit scary about
It's a
that.
bit- I was going to say, it also
It
makes me
goes
a bit
both
sad
ways.
because I love when I can see that someone is a strong, like even you're talking about Karen there, like I always just thought like the characters that she played when I would watch the Karen Dunbar show when I was a child, I was like, you'd be like, I know that person
Yes.
is like grew up in my street, like even though it's a character she just pulled out, like things like that. If that doesn't exist, like if it's purely like moving into more of a reality realm of like it's reality TV, we can see those actual people. It is amazing, and they are people that we love and inspire.
Yeah,
things we do.
absolutely.
Like there's loads of stuff like that we love, but it makes me a bit sad that it feels like almost like losing a bit of an art form and creating that.
But I think like Karen, for example, now is doing phenomenal stand-up work.
Yeah.
She's come on leaps and bounds as a stand-up. I mean, brilliant. Huge crowds and stuff like that, and really, really super funny, cutting-edge stuff. I just think as performers, we've got to learn to share the stage with a heck of a lot more people.
Yeah.
And I think if we're comfortable with that, it's okay. We have to fight a little bit more to carve out an audience for ourselves, but that's competition,
You've
isn't
got
it?
to adapt, I
You know?
think, in
Yeah.
any role in life. I think you've
Yeah.
got to
Yeah.
be ready for the fact that as times move, you have to change shape a little bit, and it doesn't mean that it's like a us and them mentality.
Exactly.
It's more
Yeah.
like the horizon's broadened, so we need to kind of find our niche and find where you fit.
Totally.
I
But
think.
performing for me, when I think about it like that, like if you're brave enough to be able to do it on stage in particular, if you're in a play, let's say, and go in a play and then start hamming up like you would in a sketch show.
You're like, I'm going to steal the spotlight here. Like, get cast in a play and then make it about you.
Absolutely, that's the golden rule. You don't need to go to drama school for that. But you know what I mean, like that joy of performing or working with the right people. And I'm not just saying this because you're sitting there like, and when you're in an environment where someone, you do it too, when you know they encourage you to be funny. Like Johnny McKnight goes, take that further when you're doing the panto, and I'm like, that's a bit much. And he's like, no, turn that up a bit. So you feel safe to do that. And I think when you're doing sketch performances like that, it's a shame if it does die down because it's the most fun ever to be able to put on like, you know, stupid costume, whatever it is, or somebody
allows
from
you
the
to
office.
experiment, I think. You know what I mean? And you can play with one small idea and maybe like pull it out.
Totally.
But
I would genuinely love to see you dressed up and doing your mum. Like I would love to see that.
that
Like,
would
do you
be
know,
so- that
why
would be
not?
so
But
funny.
it's like the
I
whole
would do it.
Fleabag thing, and people always say stuff like that. Like, do you know what I mean? But if you could sit and do that, and that's what she did. Yes, she didn't put wigs and glasses and all that on, but she was experienced enough to go, I know how to do this voice. It's funny, and that will still hold people's attention. Like, do you know what I mean? If we tell stories, I'll still do my mum's voice and my dad's voice and stuff, and I always do Greg, and people seem to quite like that, or they get annoyed by it, whatever. But
No, they definitely like. I always think when I see like stand up, because I don't know, like you, Jules, you did stand up for the first time this year. How was that experience? Like, you tell me that first before I go into my story.
I loved it, but I'm scared to do it again.
Yeah.
I think I've came full circle. I'll tell you when we're not doing this, but how I feel about it. But I mean, how lovely to be able to do that with pals that were supporting
that was
you.
a lovely
Yeah.
lineup. I wish I'd got along to
Oh
that
my
actually,
God,
because I
I've-
was
It
really
was so good.
intrigued to
It was
see.
brilliant.
But
I didn't
honestly-
realise that was the first time you'd done it, and Paul told me, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh, that would have been, because I've never done it, and Paul
I think
always
you'd
says
be
I should
great.
do
I
it.
literally
I
sat
think
in
Like, I
this.
should have came to see that because that would have made
Yeah.
me feel a bit
And
more.
Alana did it for the first
Yeah.
time then
Alana
as
was
well. and
amazing.
Yeah, it was a
like,
good lineup.
It was, I say to Kendra all the time, I'm like, what if I just put on another wee Paul Black and Friends, would you just jump on and do 5 minutes? I'm like, do you know what I
Yes,
think it is?
you
See,
should.
we stand up, like I didn't always watch a lot of stand up growing up. Like I much preferred sketch shows and sitcoms. Like that was the comedy that I consumed way more. And stand up for me was like, occasionally I would see stuff. Obviously I would see Billy Connolly stuff and whatever, but I never really thought that's what I want to do. And I think it's because a lot of the time we need to look at things and you don't do it just the way you've seen it being done before. You don't have to follow a set rule. Like sometimes I was putting off by stand up because I'd be like, oh, they're really like cruel to the crowd, or like their whole thing is like picking
Yeah.
on people when they're hosting. I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't like that. It doesn't make me feel comfortable. And it was actually our mutual friend Elaine Malcolmson that said to me once, she
She's
was like,
amazing.
you don't have to do it like that. Just do it whatever way you want to do it.
Yeah.
You don't need to copy it like that. And realising that made me change
That's a
how I
huge
approach it.
That's
yeah.
isn't it?
massive, yeah.
And I think as well with being on stage, it's the more accessible way to get your writing out there, isn't it? Because I mean, you started on stage as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
Or did you
Yeah.
do radio stage before radio?
Yeah, we'd started, and I was part of a 3-man act, you know.
A
and-
very successful 3-man act.
oh, thank you.
Tell them what you
agent.
won.
And it
Tell them what you won.
It was
we-
Rab Christie and
Rab Christie and Neil Warhurst.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, who went off to follow a dream of being an actor in London, went to drama school down there. But the three of us, we'd been to see Phil Kay, and it was a first-year university, and we came back, and Neil, he was from Dulwich, and he said, you know Phil Kay, that guy we were in class with in first year, he just won some fucking award in Edinburgh. So you think you're funny? And I was like, fuck, that's amazing. He went, I think we should go in that next year. We should try and win it. And we did.
Boldness.
So we went
Quite
and we
right.
put together an act, and we won it the second year. And it was great. It was nowhere near the kind of huge thing that it was now, Peter Kay and people like that. But at the time, it felt like a kind of affirmation, like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
okay, of any, notion
It's
or
a
inkling you had
landmark,
about
isn't
yourself,
it?
you
To be
know?
like,
Oh,
And
Oh,
people
that.
recognise that we're not
Yeah.
just, not that I don't think you should do it just for that, but like,
Even
no,
if you're
of
a bit
course,
unsure
you know.
yourself, though, like we all do crave recognition or some
Of
sort of
course, that's why we're
validation.
on here.
That's why I
Yeah.
struggle being an adult that's not like in school anymore, because in order to feel alive or like anything I'm doing is worthy, I need someone to
Need a
grade me on
grade.
it.
Yeah.
Genuinely, I've
Yeah.
realised
Yeah.
that about myself. That's why, like, when I
Yeah.
left uni, I was like, oh my God, like, am I good at this or that or whatever because I'm not getting a grade? But I imagine that's probably the equivalent of getting
We'll get you a
some
wee
sort of
start.
grade.
That is like a grade.
Aye.
But
Yeah, of
weirdly,
that, yeah, in that area.
tying it back to us when Greg was in that act, I was pals with Rab Christie, who then later on is a great pal of ours, but then went on to be my Boston Scott Squad, which was so bizarre. But I was friends with him. We used to go to the Dolphin Arts Centre doing drama, and he was telling me about this act he was in, and weeks would go by, and it was just where I went to drama school, and I was working at Fool's Paradise. It was this like comedy club on a Saturday night in the old Athenaeum Theatre. That sounds like the olden days, doesn't it? And Greg was on there, their comedy act. What was he called again? Trio Brothers.
We had the three men Trio Brothers troupe. We thought that was just dead
That
clever.
was their name.
Three men.
The Three Men Trio Brothers troupe.
Right?
By a mouthful.
It was a bit of a mouthful.
It looked good in a poster though, surprisingly. Greg's mum always kept the posters. So he says to me, Rab Christie says to me, Jules, my comedy act's on, you're going to be working there. I was working there as a drama student, working there in the bar, and everyone was drinking those Newcastle Brown things, and they used to put them on their shoes. That takes you back. Look that up, Bros. Anyway, on they came, and I remember standing in the dark looking at them, and Rab's really funny and all that, and the English guy, he's good and all, and I was like that. Total close up my face. Who's that big? Right. Who's this guy? He's no total. He said there's another guy in the act called Greg, and I was like that. What's happening here? Oh my God, and I felt really bad. So after it, Rab came down to the bar, and he was up, and he was like, hey, he was dead cute. Rab's still so cute. He's like, did you think we were funny and all that? And I'm like, yeah, Rab, who's that guy? I felt terrible about it. And he was like that. Neil, I went, no, him, the other one. So this kind of stuff.
Oh.
So that's when I first seen him.
Really?
First clapped eyes on him on stage at the old Athenaeum, and you were singing and all that. Remember, you were
Oh
singing.
yeah, we were sort of like a cabaret act. We had great fun. We had a saxophone and a guitar, and it was great
But
fun.
I hadn't heard a Canadian like that before.
Oh,
We
really?
were full on. He was full on Canadian.
Still very-
After
very
we spoke
strong
right,
Canadian
that's
accent.
exotic to me.
Yeah,
I
oh,
was like,
definitely.
what's happening here? And he was
like
funny.
And that's when you started learning the accent that
That's
you'd
when-
want to impersonate one day.
I
Yeah.
walked up and I
when
said, "Hey, Jules."
He never even seen me.
Did
He
you
never
start
seen me.
chatting that night?
Oh no, I was
just
away
laid the
washing the
groundwork.
glasses. Oh, no. But he was supposed. I was in a play after that, and he was supposed to come to the football play. But I think he had a girlfriend and wasn't interested.
It was a fun scene, and then we had, that's where we met Ford, and Bruce Morton was hosting gigs all over the place, and you'd go and we met everybody. We met Carolyn Ahern. We did a gig with her. We did a gig with Bill Hicks. It was kind of at the time. The festival was really. It wasn't as big as it is now, but people came from all over the world, and it's big, huge stand-ups and stuff. And it was an honour to kind of do gigs with that, and Lee Evans and people like that. But the truth of the matter is, our heart wasn't really in it. We sort of got pulled in different directions and whatnot. And Rab was getting pulled and doing acting. He was doing gigs at the Citizens Theatre and that kind of stuff. And Neil was kind of like, I think he felt a little bit disillusioned living in Scotland. He got his degree and he kind of went down the road to England and whatnot. But I really appreciated the groundwork that we did there, and the number of people, the funny people I met, and you kind of learn to love comedy and just be around laughter and love it so much,
So unfortunately, guys, that's all we've got time for this week. But if you want to hear part 2 of our lovely interview with Jules and Greg's, which is amazing, by the way, I'm not just saying that. If you want to hear part 2, you can check it out right now on our Patreon, and the rest of you can hear it next week.
You've been listening to Who Agrees with me, Kendra McPherson.
And me, Paul Black.
And as always, follow us on TikTok, Instagram, all of the social medias, and leave the lovely, beautiful reviews because we read them all and we love them. And subscribe to us on Patreon, of course.
Yeah, and I've been reading I went back the other day and read some more reviews on Apple. So
Just to give us a bit of a boost.
So I want some more on there, some more on Spotify. Comment in the episode on Spotify, do what you want.
Yeah.
And come see me on tour and everything.
And as always, a huge thanks to our sponsor, Iola, for keeping us looking specky and always stylish.
Yep, £85 all in. I've spent more than that on a night out.
And no hangover.
The specs don't give you a hangover.
No.
So there's the difference.
They cure hangovers, actually.
Exactly. And sometimes when I do have a hangover, I can wear my sunglasses. Also from Iola.
Yep.
So you can check out these specs and all the lovely other ones on offer from the link in the description.
Bye.
Bye.